Hi all, this is Priyanka V, an assistant professor in English from Erode Engineering College. Today I am going to discuss about the topic tenses. We'll see what is tenses and what are the main types of tenses and what are the remaining types of tenses. In general, what is tenses? Tenses are the form taken by a verb to show the time of an action or a state of any event, which means it denotes the time of an action which takes place in present, past, and future. In general, the indicating a time of an action is called tenses. Tenses are of three main types. They are present tense, past tense, and future tense. These three tenses also have the subdivisions to show the continuity and completeness of an action and time. They are simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Present tense are of four subdivisions. They are simple present tense, present continuous tense, present perfect tense, and present perfect continuous tense. What is a simple present tense? Simple present tense all about talking about the action or incidents which takes place in present is called simple present tense. Next comes present continuous tense. What is this present continuous tense? Present continuous tense is all about the action which takes place in present and continues for certain amount of period of time. It is called present continuous tense. Next subdivision is present perfect tense. What is this present perfect tense? Present perfect tense is all about talking about the action which was happened in the past and it has been related to the present is called present perfect tenses. The action which was happened in the past and it relates to the present is called present perfect tenses. Next tense is all about present perfect continuous tense. It talks about the action which happens in the past and it still goes on. It is like more often relating to the which was the incident which was been recently ended up. It is more often related to the present event. Present perfect continuous tense is all about the action which takes place in the past and it still goes on for a certain amount of period of time and it stops at there. It is more often related to the action which has been completed recently is called present perfect continuous tenses. Next tenses is past tense. Past tenses has its four subdivisions. They are simple past tense, past continuous tense, past perfect tenses, and past perfect continuous tenses. What is the simple past tense is all about? Simple past tense is all about talking about the incidents which happened in the past, which was already completed event or incidents. Talking about the incidents or event which was already completed is called simple past tense. What is this past continuous tense? Past continuous tense is all about the action which takes place in the past and it continues for certain amount of period of time in the past and it completes in the past is called past continuous tense. The action which takes place in the past and continues for certain amount of period of time and the action which has been ended up in the past is called past continuous tense. What is this past perfect tense? Past perfect tense is also about the action which takes place in past and it continues for certain amount of period and it ended up in the past is called past perfect tense. It is like more often like if a movie has two flashback scenes, it refers to the early one. It refers to the first flashback scene. Talking about the early flashback scene is called past perfect tenses. Next comes past perfect continuous tense. What is this past perfect continuous tense? Past perfect continuous tense is also like a past continuous tense. It talks about the action which takes place in the past, and the action it will be continuing in the past, and it will be ended up in a recent past is called past perfect continuous tense. It is like talking about the action which takes place in the past and it continues for a certain amount of period of time. It has been completed recently in the past. Talking about the recent past events is called past perfect continuous tense. In this slide, we are going to discuss about future tense and its four subdivisions. They are simple future tense, future continuous tense, future perfect tense, future perfect continuous tense. What is this future tense? Future tense is all about the action, describing about the action which is going to take place in future. The action which is going to happen in future, talking about the thing which is going to happen in future is called future tense. Future continuous tense. What is this future continuous tense? Talking about the action or incident which is going to happen in future and it continues for certain period of time in future and it ended up in future is called future continuous tense. Future continuous tense is all about the continuous action which is going to take place in future and it has been going to ended up in future. Talking about this kind of events is called future continuous tense. Next tense is future perfect tense. This future perfect tense is all about the action which is going to take place in future and it is going to ended up before a given certain period of time. It is like completing the action before a given deadline. Talking about the incident or action which has been completed in early in future is called future perfect tense. Next tense is future perfect continuous tense. This is all about the action which is going to take place in future and it continues in future and it also ended up in future. It's called future perfect continuous tense. The similar to future continuous tense, this is all about talking about the incidents which is going to happen and in a continuous way and it will be ended up in future in some other point of time. It's called future perfect continuous tense. We'll see about the present tenses in detail. Present tenses express an unchanging, repeated or any action that exists now, which has been talking about the present event or action which takes place in present. The rules of present tenses: subject plus verb 1 plus object. Here we have mentioned as verb 1. What is this verb 1 is called? Verb 1 is called like having the verbs in present, past and future tenses. For example, do, did and done are the three verbs forms. Do is a verb 1, did is verb 2, done is verb 3. Other example for this verb form is write, wrote and written. There are so many examples for this verb form. This verb 1, verb 2, verb 3 is used in present, past and future. This verb 1 is used in present tense, verb 2 is used in past tense, verb 3 is used in future tense. In this present tense, we use subject plus verb 1 plus object. For example, I play football. Moving on to next slide. In this, we used to have a topic called present continuous tense. What is this present continuous tense? As I mentioned earlier, the action which takes place in present and it continues for certain amount of period of time in present and it ended up in a certain time period is called present continuous tense. This present continuous tense is made from the present tense of verb be and ing form a verb. We use the present continuous tense while we are talking or while we are speaking. Other time of speaking and talking, we use this present continuous tense. For example, I am just leaving work. I will be in home in a hour. The rules of this present continuous tense is subject plus am is are plus verb 1 plus ing plus object. Where we have to use am in a sentence comes with I, which refers to a person, which refers to a while the sentence has I, we have to use am. Where we have to use is, where we have to use are. This should be used for a singular person and are should be used for a plural person. For example, I am playing football. Here, I refers to a person, me, which denotes me. So, I have used a verb form called am. Playing is verb 1 plus ing. Then comes object called football. So, I am playing football. Okay. Yes, the next tense is about present perfect tense. What is this present perfect tense? Present perfect tense is all about the tenses in one common of the verb. The tenses in English used to show an action that happens in the past that is directly related to the present, such as actions that are still continuing or that indicates a change over of time. It is more often like an action which takes place in the past and it's directly related to the present. Is called present perfect tenses. It is easily recognized by the auxiliary verbs called as helping verbs. They are have and has, or the auxiliary verbs can be used for this present perfect tense. The rules of this present perfect tenses are subject plus have or has plus V3 plus object. For example, I have played football. Here, I followed with auxiliary verb have. Next, have is followed with the verb 3 form play, played and played. Verb 1 is play. Verb 2 is played. Verb 3 is also play. So, we used played over here. Next comes with the object called football. So, the sentence is I have played football. Next tenses is all about present perfect continuous tense. What is this present perfect continuous tense? Present perfect continuous tense is a verb tense used to refer an action that started some time in the past and is still going on. It also sometimes describes an action that was just completed as long as it's still relevant to the present. See, it is like a past tense which is still going on, just like relating to the incidents which was happens in the past and it's still going on in the present, and it also refers to the incident which has been just completed. It is more often related to present tense. It's called present perfect continuous tense. The rules of present perfect continuous tense are subject plus have or has plus been plus verb 1 plus ing plus object. Has and have are the auxiliary verbs used in this phrase, used in this sentence. For example, I have been playing football. Here, after the subject I, we have used have been as an auxiliary verb. Playing is verb 1 plus ing and object is football. Okay, then. Next tenses is about past tense. Yeah. Next tenses is about past tense. This past tense expresses an action or situation that was started and finished in the past. It is like talking about the action which has been already completed in the past, which has been ended up in the past, and talking about that kind of action is called past tense. This rules for past tense is subject plus verb 2 plus object. As I told earlier, verb 1 is used for present tense, verb 2 is used for past tense, and verb 3 is used for future tense. Yes, here also we have done the same thing, subject plus verb 2 plus object. We'll move on to the example. I played football. I refers to the subject, played refers to the verb 2, and football refers to an object. Okay. The next tense is about past continuous tense. This past continuous tense is all about the action which has been taken place in the past and it continues for certain amount of period of time in the past and it ended up in the past. Talking about that kind of action is called past continuous tense. Past continuous tense refers to denote those action or event that were happening for a particular time in a past. It's called past continuous tense. The rules for past continuous tense are subject plus auxiliary verbs are was or were plus verb 1 plus ing plus object. This was or were can be used according to the sentence, whether it is singular or plural. While it is singular, we can use was. While it is a plural, we can use were. Here, I was playing football. I refers to a singular, so we have used was as an auxiliary verb over here. Playing is V1 plus ing is playing and object is football referred over here. So, I was playing football. Okay, we'll move on to the next tenses called past perfect continuous tense. Sorry, past perfect tense. This past perfect tense is defined as the form of a verb that is used to show that an action had already finished when another action happened. It is all about talking about the action which is already completed, which has been already finished in a future. It's called past perfect tense. This past perfect tense best example is while referring to a movie scene. In that movie scene may have two flashback scenes. In that we are referring to the early flashback scene of a movie is called past perfect tense. Okay. In a movie, there are two flashback scenes. It is just an imagination. There are two flashback scenes. In that flashback scene, we are referring to a early flashback scene. We are talking about the early flashback scene is called past perfect tenses. The rules of past perfect tense is subject plus had plus verb 3 plus object. Here we have used auxiliary verb had in this place. Example is I had played football. Here I is a subject, had is an auxiliary verb, played is verb 3 and football is an object. Okay, we'll move on to the next four types of last types of past tense is past perfect continuous tense. What is this past perfect continuous tense? This past perfect continuous tense is not like a present perfect continuous tense that expresses an action that started in the past and kept continuing till the present. Instead, the past perfect continuous tense denotes an action that starts in the past and continues in the past and ended up at a certain period in the past is called past perfect continuous tense. The rules of the past perfect continuous tense are subject plus, had been plus, verb 1 plus, ing plus, object. For example, I had been playing football. Here, I refers to the subject. Had been refers to the auxiliary verb. Playing is as usual verb 1 plus ing. Football refers to an object. It it is like talking about the action which takes place in past and continues in the past and ended up in the past. Is called past perfect continuous tense. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide called future tense. What is future tense is all about? Future tense expresses an action or situation that will occur in the future. It talks about the action or situation or a thing which is going to happen in future, which is describing about the future events is called future tense. The rules of future tense is subject plus will or shall can be used as an auxiliary verb over here plus verb 1 plus object. For example, I shall play football. I is a subject over here. Shall is an auxiliary verb which is going to happen in future. This auxiliary verb tells that I shall play football. It's I shall play football in future. It's like talking about the future incident which is going to happen in future. I shall play football. Play is a verb 1 plus football is an object over here. Okay. The next tenses is about future continuous tense. Future continuous tense is a verb tense that shows an action happening over a period of time in the future. It is like talking about the thing which is going to happen in future, and the kind of action is going to take place for a certain period of time in future. Talking about that kind of event is called future continuous tense. As usual, the rules of future continuous tense is subject plus will be plus verb 1 plus ing plus object. For example, I will be playing football. I will be playing football. I refers to subject. Will be refers to an auxiliary verb which is going to happen in future. Playing refers to the thing which is going to happen in future, and it continues for certain amount of time. Okay, so we are using continuous form called ing along with the verb 1. So verb 1 plus ing is satisfied over here. I will be playing football. Football is an object. Yes. Now, the next slide is about future perfect tense. This is future perfect tense. Future perfect tense is a tense form that can be used to represent an action or event that will be over within a particular time in the future. The action refers to in the future perfect tense as an end date or time. This future perfect tense is nothing but having a end date or time in the future. It refers to the action which is going to happen in future in a particular time period. It may be get completed before a deadline also. Referring to that kind of tenses is called future perfect tenses. It has some deadline and it may complete before a deadline. The action which may get complete before a deadline, or it has a deadline, or the incident which get complete at a deadline is called future perfect tenses. The rules of future perfect tense is subject plus will or shall have plus V3 plus object. Here, will or shall can be used as an auxiliary verb over here. For example, I shall have played football. I shall have played football, which means I is a subject over here. Shall is an auxiliary verb. I shall have. What does this have means? It refers to the time. I shall have played football. This played is verb 3 and football is an object over here. Okay, we'll move on to the last slide called future. Yes, the next slide is based on future perfect continuous tense. The future perfect continuous tense is a verb tense that can be used to refer to an action that will be continuing until a certain point of time in future. The future continuous tense is all about exactly the thing which is going to happen in future, and it will be continuing for certain period of time and will be ended up in future. That is called future perfect continuous tense. The rules of future perfect continuous tense are subject plus will or shall, have been plus verb 1 plus ing plus object. For example, I shall have been playing football. I is referred to a subject. Shall have been playing football. Here playing is referred as verb 1 plus ing. Football is an object over here. The things should be kept in minds are while the verb with, to be, to seem or to know. It will not be suitable for the future perfect continuous tense. Instead of these verbs, you can use the future perfect tense verbs called will, uh, will plus have plus past participle. I would like to quote an example. On Thursday, I will have known you for a week. The other example is, I will have read 45 books by Christmas. Yes, that's all about future perfect continuous tense. We can have a quick summary on what is tenses and what are the types of tenses and what is present tense, past tense and future tense. What is tenses? Tenses is all about talking about an action which takes place in present, past and future. What are the types of tenses? Tenses are of three main types. They are present, past and future. Present, past, future are the three main types of tenses. What are the remaining types of tenses? Remaining types of tenses are of simple present tense, present continuous tense, present perfect tense, present perfect continuous tense. In past, simple past tense, past continuous tense, past perfect tense and past perfect continuous tense. In future, simple future tense, future continuous tense, future perfect tense and future perfect continuous tense. These are the 12 types of tenses. In general, what is present tense? Present tense is all about talking about the action which takes place in present. It's called present tense. Moreover, discussing about the incident or event which is taken place in present is called present tense. What is this past tense? Past tense is all about talking about the action which was already taken place, which is already completed. Describing about that kind of action or incident is called past tense. What is this future tense? Future tense is all about talking about the information or thoughts which is going to happen in future. Talking about the future incidents, future thing which is going to happen. That kind of situations can be described in future tense. These are the three main types of tenses. That's all for today's lecture. Yes, thank you all.